Starfield promised the ultimate space adventure, an entire galaxy to explore, thousands of planets, endless freedom, and a universe where you could literally do anything. That sounded incredible, and for many of us, it was the dream of a lifetime. But after spending time in it, something felt off. The galaxy was massive, yes, but it often felt empty. Planets repeated themselves, exploration became tedious, and quests didn't always matter. Then there's the Outer Worlds 2. It doesn't offer an endless galaxy, instead it gives you a universe packed with personality, humour, and consequences that actually feel meaningful. Today, we're diving deep into exactly why Outer Worlds 2 succeeds where Starfield failed. From storytelling and exploration to combat, companions, and the little details that make a big difference. Before we begin, I would massively appreciate it if you hit that like button and support more deep dives like this one. Section 1. Expectations versus reality. Let's start with the obvious, scale. Starfield was hyped as the next evolution of space RPGs. Thousands of planets, epic size, procedural generation, all designed to give players endless freedom. It prioritized scale, but here's the problem. Procedural generation, while impressive in theory, often leads to repetition. Many Starfield planets are visually similar, with terrain that might look interesting from orbit, but feels empty when you land. Flying between locations can be exciting at first, but after a few hours, it starts to feel like filler. Side quests exist, but they rarely leave a lasting impression. The game offers quantity, but not necessarily quality. Outer Worlds 2 takes the opposite approach. Its galaxy is smaller, yes, but every planet, town, and location is carefully crafted. It prioritizes density. There are no filler moons or indistinguishable asteroid belts. Every town has NPCs who interact meaningfully with each other and with the player. Quests reward exploration and creativity, and environmental storytelling is everywhere. For instance, this robot that drops demerit notes when it malfunctions. The Outer Worlds 2 understands that immersion comes from quality experiences, not just scale. I want to show you the map screens in both games. First, this is Starfield's map. There are thousands of planets and moons you can visit, and provided your ship has a powerful enough drive, you're completely free to do so. The game features over 1,000 planets or over 1,600 celestial bodies if we're including moons. If that wasn't enough, each of these 1,600 celestial bodies are full size, as in you can free roam across the entire surface and in some cases venture into caves to continue below the surface. Quite simply, it's too much. The result is a game that feels unfocused, tedious, and overly ambitious. By comparison, here's the Outer Worlds 2's map. Just one location is highlighted, and this is the route it wants the player to go to. You know exactly what you need to do, and you know the game is going to accommodate you as you do it. It's the complete opposite of whatever this is. Again, it's a classic case of scale versus density, where Outer Worlds 2 funnels the player through a meaningful, directed experience. Starfield just lets you loose in a massive galaxy where nothing matters. Section 2. Storytelling and tone. Starfield goes for a serious, grounded tone. It's cinematic, it's dramatic, and it certainly tries to create a believable sci-fi universe. Bethesda calls the theme NASA punk, but there's a downside. Its story often feels distant. NPCs rarely leave a lasting impression, and humour is almost non-existent. You make choices, but many of them feel muted, with consequences that barely ripple. The plot is grand, but it's easy to forget the people inhabiting it. To condense the storytelling of Starfield into one synopsis, it's essentially about you hunting for alien artifacts. I remember visiting the lodge for the first time, which is the headquarters of the exploration group Constellation. I had high hopes of finding a bustling hub full of fascinating characters united by their dream to explore the stars. Instead, I found these guys. Not exactly the most inspiring group to fuel your journey into the unknown. Not once did any of these NPCs make me laugh, feel sad, or prompt any real emotion. Everything just lacked character. Outer Worlds 2 is the opposite. It's bold, vibrant, and unapologetically satirical. This is reinforced from the moment you load the game when the menu starts talking to you. It's a meta approach to storytelling that really works and helps differentiate the Outer Worlds 2 from the routinely self-serious tone of Starfield.
The person writing my dialogue thanks you for their gainful employment.
The story in the Outer Worlds 2 is also entirely at the other end of the sci-fi spectrum. You play a special agent sent to a colony to investigate mysterious and destructive space-time rifts amidst an escalating factional war. The premise is implausible, the technology verges on ridiculous, the dialogue is obscenely witty, and the choices you make are often hilarious. For example, this is the opening of the Outer Worlds 2. Your companion Abara comes up to you and says he's got a new time dilation device that causes
10.25% less brain damage than the old ones.
With this, the tone is firmly established and you already feel like you're along for a more exciting ride. Every conversation has flavour and the narrative reacts to your decisions in ways that feel personal. Where Starfield gives you a universe, Outer Worlds 2 gives you a story you want to live in. And honestly, that's a huge factor in player engagement. I'll show you another example from the early game in Outer Worlds 2. I infiltrate a base, but the security triggers and the gates are locked down. However, after finding a security badge, I can use the intercom to convince the guard to open up. You can threaten, lie, plead, or reason with the guard with all of your choices, making your character, who's completely silent just like the one in Starfield, feel more fleshed out. In the end, I paint a sob story and tell the guard I've just come back from mental refreshment. That's a nice way of saying I've been chemically lobotomized. The guard takes pity on me and opens the door. It's not that Starfield lacks dialogue choice, it also gives you branching dialogue. It's more that the options are a lot drier, as if it's scared you won't take it seriously. But Bethesda games are inherently absurd, even if they don't try to be. You can't not be absurd in a game that gives players the freedom to do this. Where Starfield tries to smother the humour or else ignore it, the Outer Worlds 2 embraces it. Humour isn't just for laughs, it makes the world feel alive. Players remember characters like quirky scientists, shady traders, or sarcastic companions. Starfield, despite its scale, often lacks these memorable touchpoints. Section 3. Exploration and world design. Exploration is where the differences between these games become even more obvious. Starfield gives you scale, massive star systems, moons, and asteroid fields. But after a while, it can feel meaningless. Procedural generation ensures variety, but much of it doesn't feel unique or rewarding. You might land on a planet, gather resources, or fight a few enemies, then leave thinking, why am I even here? The bigger the game, the lonelier you feel in it. Sure, you have up to 2 companions, but their voice lines soon become repetitive and they end up feeling like robots. When you do run into NPCs in the middle of nowhere, it just raises further questions. Why is there an outpost on this barren planet? And what are the chances I run directly into it? It just doesn't make sense. It's like if the first person to climb Everest got up there and there was already a guy chilling, drinking a cup of tea. And this is Starfield's problem. It's damned if it does and damned if it doesn't. If there were more NPCs everywhere, then your whole role as an explorer in a vast uncharted galaxy would be instantly undermined. On the other hand, if there were 0 NPCs, the game would feel even emptier than it already does. The Outer Worlds 2 approaches exploration completely differently. Every planet is intentionally designed. Towns are dense with NPCs who react to your choices. Quests encourage curiosity and reward players for exploring corners of the map. There are hidden items, secret dialogue, and environmental storytelling that makes every location worth visiting. Instead of asking, "Why am I here?" you're constantly asking, "What else can I find?" Take this escape pod. This is the pod you flee in during the game's intro. After being saved from the vacuum of space, you'll find it in the cargo hold. And this is representative of the power of callbacks. Because the Outer Worlds 2 uses a linear game design, it tends to know where you're going to be at any given moment. And because it knows where you're going to be, it can give you more exciting things to see and do. In this case, a fun little callback to a previous plot point in the form of this escape pod. This extends to side quests as well. Starfield side quests can be repetitive, or fetchy, or combat orientated. Outer Worlds 2 meanwhile gives you quirky, multi-layered side quests. You might help a robot union negotiate better working conditions, sabotage a corporation's plan, or even unintentionally cause chaos and the game remembers. That makes exploration feel meaningful and encourages replayability, because different choices create different outcomes. Section 4. Combat. Here's where I'm going to give the edge to Starfield. Combat is tactical in Starfield, and it's versatile and it's rewarding. You can mix stealth, persuasion, sabotage, or just go in directly. Each skill choice genuinely impacts gameplay. Perks alter combat effectiveness in meaningful ways, and companions are active participants, providing buffs, additional attacks, or narrative commentary during fights. Encounters can be approached in multiple ways: negotiate, sneak, or fight your way through. But more than that, it feels good. Weapons handle satisfyingly, from heavy rifles to lasers, and the feedback from firing into bodies is convincing. And let's not forget your array of powers, letting you suck people into gravity wells, dash, slow time, and knock them flying. Combat is one of Starfield's strengths. In the Outer Worlds 2, combat is functional rather than memorable. After hours, combat can feel repetitive. The way the weapons feel isn't very satisfying, more like Nerf guns than firearms, and it's just rarely fun to fire them into enemies. But more than that, the enemy AI is, at times, shockingly bad. Inept is the word that springs to mind. Just walking around the side of them is enough to make them utterly bamboozled. They don't act like people at all, but those humanoid house robots that are apparently going to be hoovering our carpets in the next 10 years, only frequently malfunctional. That said, the pacing of combat in the Outer Worlds 2 is better. It's never filler. Every battle contributes to the story, to the quest progression, or to the world building. Starfield's scale sometimes make combat feel isolated or repetitive. In a world as large as Starfield's, meaningful conflict is surprisingly scarce. If I could boil it down, Starfield gives you mechanics, the Outer Worlds 2 gives you options, and options are what makes RPG combat engaging. Section 5. Performance and polish. Starfield's ambition comes with trade-offs, but these trade-offs aren't what everyone expected them to be. Now, if you've played a Bethesda game before, you'll know they are known for their bugs. Starfield, though, didn't have all that many, at least none I encountered across hundreds of hours of play, apart from that one where you could clone weapons in lockers and then sell them for millions. These were few and far between though. Instead of bugs, Starfield had a serious loading problem. Everything you did seemed separated by loading screens. This broke immersion more than anyone thought it would. The most disruptive happens in cities. This, for instance, is the town of Neon, where a simple exploration becomes a boring slog through copious loading screens. It makes you simply not want to open any more doors. There's also the now infamous pre-landing loading screens. These prevent you traveling from space to planets in one seamless transition. The prevalence of loading screens makes the overall game feel dated and also weirdly disjointed, as if you're just loading between different instances of an MMO. Outer Worlds 2 doesn't aim to reinvent the wheel, but it focuses merely on polish. Vibrant art direction, smooth animation, cohesive UI and clean performance let players focus on the experience. Smaller scope allows more attention to detail, and that attention is felt every step of the way. Sure, there are loading screens, but then the game doesn't attempt to paint itself as this vast, seamless experience. That might feel an unfair criticism, as if I'm holding the games to two different standards, and I guess I am. Starfield was meant to be the next big game for the developers of Oblivion, of Skyrim, and of Fallout, the masters of the RPG, a company with hundreds of millions and the full backing of Microsoft. And they come out with this. A serious disappointment to many people. Conversely, The Outer Worlds 2 is the underdog, a smaller studio, less money and less expectation. That might go some way into explaining its more favourable reception, but it also is just easier to like. It takes itself less seriously, it's more fun, and it nudges you in the direction of the good stuff, rather than tipping out the box of stray toys and asking you to make your own fun. Conclusion. Starfield aimed for the stars, but lost focus. Outer Worlds 2 doesn't try to do everything, but it does what matters. Storytelling, meaningful exploration, impactful companions, engaging combat, and a polished, memorable experience. If you want a space RPG that delivers fun, choices that matter, and a universe full of personality, Outer Worlds 2 is, in my opinion, the one to play right now. But I say this as someone who's poured hundreds of hours into Starfield. Sure, it's definitely worth playing, it just never really hit the mark for me. And it certainly didn't live up to the hype. But what about you? Was Starfield a miss for you, or do you still appreciate its sheer scale? Comment below and let me know. And if you want more deep dives and honest RPG comparisons, hit that subscribe button.